everybody? Original Lone Wolf coming to y'all. I got a very interesting yet but special video that I want to play. It's in regards to the future of automobiles. Just about everybody knows how to drive. Most people have driver's licenses, etc. We use it as a high reliability source of transportation throughout our daily life, whether if you own a business or you go to work every day or you have to take your children, to school or whatever the case may be. I want you guys to take a listen to what this man is talking about. He's over in like the UK or France or England or, one of those European countries. He does have a bit of an accent, so you're going to have to kind of pay attention to what he's saying so you'll understand it. But we're going to go through this real quick and we're going to break down some things. And I just want to explain some things to you guys as to what's coming down the pike here in America. Okay, so I'm not going to hold you guys too long. I just want to get right into it so you guys understand the future of what's going to happen to our automobiles if people aren't aware of what he's talking about.
Today, I'm going to talk about the extinction of the used car as we know it. Extinction might sound a bit dramatic, but I use that word very intentionally. Now, this isn't going to be a video that's aimed at any particular category of car. It's not a stab at EVs or hybrids or anything like that. This is a much bigger, systematic issue, one that affects all of us. Now, I spoke in the past about there being 3 distinct levels to a car's life, and let me cover them briefly here. So level 1, when the car's brand new, under warranty, you get it straight from the dealership. Level 2, when that car hits, let's say 4 or 5 years old, the lease expires, the original owner wants to swap it for the nice new car once again, get the shiny new thing. Now that is still a very good, but very expensive way of going about getting a used car. In level 3 is when the car is hitting 10, 15 years old, where people like me, and probably you, tend to buy. And I tell you what, we've been spoiled for choice in the years gone by. Even right now, there's still plenty of good used cars in this category, even if prices have started to increase.
And see, one of the reasons for why you guys know that it's headed in that direction is because those are the cars that are primarily, not breaking, right? And, I've talked to you guys about cars in the past. I've even did another video showing you some of the things that they were trying to do with electric cars and etc. Now, also, if you're like myself, because I own a car that's 15 years old, and one of my videos, I said it was 10 years old, and I stand corrected. It's actually 15 years old. And this particular car don't break as long as you get it in good condition. And, it's an old Acura, Acura RL. The first vehicle they put the SH all-wheel drive into. I have that, not that particular generation RL, but the next generation, the later one, because mine is a 2010. And though that car is solid, if you get another one in that same year, or if you get like a TL in that same year, or MDX or something like that, they don't break. If you get them in good condition. I mean, you're going to have typical Honda issues with them. You know how Honda be sometimes. They be janky with some of the shit in the interior. Like one of my older Acuras, the damn sunroof was messed up. Every time you go to try to close it, it'll act like it want to close halfway and then it'll go back. And then you press the button and do it again. And you have to press it 1,000,000 times to get it to close. Little shit like that. But as far as from a mechanical standpoint, the car didn't break. They were having issues with the transmissions in like the very first generations of certain cars or the very first year model of a certain car. But a lot of that shit they worked out because they were really computer issues. It was nothing wrong with the transmission itself. It was all of the digital shit that they had attached to it. And that's what a lot of people don't know about what was going out on those Acura or Honda transmissions. But the point given is this. They don't want you to travel. They don't want you to have any means of travel other than their way of letting you travel. And this is one of the things that he's getting into and talking about, like, in terms of like your carbon footprint and all this other shit. This is why they want you to have the digital ID. This is why they want you to have this digital banking blockchain bullshit. This is why, because what he's talking about and what I'm trying to help you guys understand is that all of this is attached to it. See, the thing also too, excuse me, you can't shut off my car, by remote. You know what I'm saying? There are certain things you can't do with it. because it's an older car, you know, so that's a problem for them. Because with these newer cars, they want to put kill switches in them. You know, they claim the government installed it. That they've stalled the process and they're not really moving forward with it. But in reality, they're still going to do it. It's going to be some sort of immobilization system in that car. And it's going to be something that they can do remotely too. Because a lot of cars have an immobilization system, but it's part of a lot of times within an accident, or it's integrated into the security system to your car, you know, your alarm and shit. So most cars, even my car, even being 15 years old, it has an immobilization system, but it's only set up with the alarm. And in the case of an accident, depending on how bad the accident is, the car won't start again. But outside of that, that's it. You can't really shut my car down from an outside source. You know what I'm saying? Where, you know, I'm driving down the road and you wherever you are, you feel me? And you just turn my car off. You can't do cars like that. That's like the age of my car being like 2010s and 2008s and 9s and shit like that. Those cars are not equipped with that. But the stuff that's rolling down the pike now, it is. And another significant thing that you guys need to understand about that is that these cars are significantly built cheaper, crappier, right? But anyway, let me shut up because I want you guys to listen to more about what somebody else is telling you from their own perspective in their own country.
I'm talking here about reliable, easy to work on cars that can be picked up on a fairly modest budget. It's this level 3 car that's most endangered. And that's a problem. Because who runs these cars? The everyday, working class backbone of Britain. Whether that's a young family trying to make ends meet, or someone who just doesn't want to take on a £500 a month car payment. Just as the car started out as being reserved for the wealthier members of society, so it shall return. And here's why. Now again, I've spoken about this before, but I need to again. Cars today are just not built with the same longevity as they used to be. Maybe that's coming with no surprise now. Maybe you've heard that before. Manufacturers, they haven't just suddenly forgotten how to build cars, of course. That's not the problem. There's two reasons behind the downfall of modern reliability and therefore longevity, which is needed for a car to reach that third level of its life where someone like me or you would go out and buy it.
Now, before he get into that, I just want to express that this is the reason why I walked away from the automotive field. I discovered they was doing it on purpose. The newer cars that they're making today, they're shit. And they did it on purpose because they don't want you traveling, for number one. And if you are going to travel, it's going to cost you money. So now traveling in today's style, or not style, but traveling in today's fashion with a car is expensive. It's went from being a right to a luxury. The reason for why they're building crap cars is because they're all in on it. The government, the car manufacturers, and the whole fucking 9 yards. They're in on it. So in other words, the big shots of Honda or the big shots of GM or Ford or whatever, they get with Congress. People in Congress and the Senate and all this. They literally get with these people. They sit down with them and they discuss how they're going to screw us. Okay? Now, I can't say that no simpler, man. I don't know no other way to say it. So the cars that, you know how a lot of, like, if you know, right? So those cars, them Toyotas and shit that could go 300,000-400,000 miles of shit before it fall apart, like in the Blues Brothers, they don't want them cars. You can't have a car no more. Meaning the stuff they're building today is complete fucking shit. Then another thing that he pointed out was how the cars are easier to work on. They just built the fucking car. They built it simply. They didn't hide shit like the battery. They didn't take your fucking battery and stick it in the fucking back seat. Stupid shit. Hide your fucking starter inside the intake manifold and all that other dumbass shit. They weren't doing that then. They built the car that you like, because that's why you bought it, and they built it simply, and the motherfuckers lasted a long time. This is why you was getting those 300,000-400,000 miles out of them Toyotas and Hondas and shit. That's why you ain't finna get no 300,000-400,000 miles out of these cars today. Lexus owners, newer Lexus owners are talking shit now about Lexus. And Toyota, right now, they talking shit. You know why? Because Toyota is on a motherfucking downward spiral. I did the video a while back showing y'all how Mazda, Mitsubishi, and who's the other? Nissan. They all merged in with Honda. You could kiss Honda goodbye. You can kiss Honda. And I'm talking about reliability now. They may stick around, you know, as a brand or whatever. But as far as reliability, you can kiss their ass goodbye. It's over with. And you're talking to a motherfucker you're listening to a person who is very well-rounded with Honda products. And we're talking about at least four Honda products, Honda Acura products. Straight up. And the shit is going down the toilet, man. They don't want you traveling. Traveling by way of some sort of automobile is going to become a 1,000% privilege.
First, here in the UK, we've got these relentless government-imposed, short-sighted emission standards. I'll get on to why I describe them as short-sighted in just a moment. As a result of these standards, manufacturers have been forced to replace the once low-stressed, relatively large capacity engines with tiny, highly strung turbocharged ones. Bulletproof torque converter automatic gearboxes have largely been axed for delicate dual-drive clutches that offer fractionally less emissions. Wet belts offering an average 1% increase in economy also found their way into many an engine and caused many a problem and introduced a whole new aspect of expensive maintenance. The reason why I say these on-paper emission standards are short-sighted is because in the government's quest for marginally cleaner mechanical technologies, they've lost sight of the bigger picture. The most environmentally friendly engine, within reason, is the one that requires minimal spare parts or replacement throughout a long service life.
So now he just told you guys, and if you know, you know. This is the reason why they're putting turbochargers on all these cars. They're giving you a tiny-ass fucking engine, and they're putting a turbocharger on it, okay? And the engines are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Pretty soon, they're going to be like my RC cars. Remember a couple of videos I did showing y'all my RC cars? Pretty soon, you're going to be driving around in a fucking automobile with an engine like that, because that's a gas engine, too. It just run on nitromethane. It don't run on, I don't have the RC cars that run on real gasoline, because you do have some, right? But the ones that I run, they run on gas, but it's not gasoline. It's nitromethane, okay? But pretty soon you're going to be riding around in some shit like that. The new Corolla, because everybody know the name, okay? Everybody know the name. The new Toyota Corolla, that motherfucker got a 3-cylinder engine. 3-cylinder, guys, count them. 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's how many cylinders that fucking engine got. And they stuck a turbo on there. The turbo is the same size as the fucking engine. That's how small the engine is. I think that motherfucker like a 1.2 liter or some shit. You talking about a weed whacker motor with a fucking turbocharger on it. So getting back to the part where he just told you a car that's easier to work on is going to be a car with less moving parts, right? Getting to the serious part of this. That's why they're doing what they're doing. It requires more effort, energy, and more moving parts, as well as turbocharger engines require you to have more oil. You know what I'm saying? So with that little Toyota Corolla, it may have upped the oil consumption. I mean, the oil amount from maybe 4 quarts, 4.2 quarts or 4.5 quarts up to maybe 5.5 quarts for this little ass engine. Then another thing that they're doing to screw people up, and people are blowing up their engines within 10,000 miles of owning the car, they're using a bogus ass weight in the car. They're telling you to use a zero weight. Like these little Toyota Corollas take like a 0.20. And it's like that's not enough viscosity for these engines. And then they're making the passageways that the engines that's within the engines that the oil is supposed to flow through to keep different parts of the engine that's moving lubricated. They're making the passageways too small. So the oil is not flowing the way that it's supposed to. Or because it's a zero weight, it's a zero viscosity oil, it doesn't have enough, how can you put it, material within the oil to keep up that lubrication so it stays lubricated. So in other words, that actual liquid oil breaks down faster. So you got sludge going through these these little passageways that leads to different parts that's moving that needs to be lubricated. Now you got sludge. It's like fucking pudding. It's like Jello pudding and shit trying to go through there, and you're not getting any lubrication. You end up losing pressure, or your pressure is too high, and you end up blowing out something, a seal or a gasket, or just fucking up the entire engine up all in its entirety. And this is done by design. And this is what he's talking to you guys about when he's saying that these cars today are easy to work on. They're not easy to work on, and they're not as reliable. They're building these engines that way on purpose. Another thing that they're doing that's fucked up is they keep pushing these CVT transmissions, which in my opinion, this is my personal mechanical opinion, I think they're shit. Straight up. I think it's shit. You got 2 gears inside of this fucking car with a rubber band around it. And that's basically what the transmission is. Straight up. And the gears are metal. And you got a fucking rubber band around this shit. And they're putting turbochargers on those type of cars also with a CVT transmission. And CVT transmissions practically are non-repairable. You might as well just buy another fucking transmission. So it's all about design, people, is what I'm saying to you.
Focus on laboratory emissions, but no consideration of production, longevity, or even repairability is, I think, the absolute epitome of short-sightedness. You could have a super clean 900cc engine, seems great on paper, but it's not much good in practice if you're having to replace it 5 times in the 10-year lifespan that car is going to have, if it even makes it that far. By the time you chalk up all the mining for the material, the refining of the material, the casting, and all the energy-intensive manufacturing that goes along with it. But somehow, that doesn't seem to matter. Now that brings me neatly onto the second problem here. The manufacturers themselves. Having worked in the automotive engineering world, I've seen it time and time again. Virtual testing has now become so advanced in this world that you can quite literally name how long you want a part to last and have it optimized around that number. To make an aluminium intake manifold or a water pump housing with an infinite fatigue life, for example, that's far more expensive to do than make a plastic one which will have enough life to see the warranty out plus a year or two. 20 years ago...
Now you understand why the original Lone Wolf been bitching about they putting fucking plastic oil pans. Listen to me, people. For the ones that's made it this far, they're putting plastic oil pans, plastic, on pickup trucks and shit. Do you know what that's doing to these fucking engines and these trucks and shit down in like Arizona or Texas or like, you know, the southern parts of like Cali or something like that? You know, where it's real hot and shit. I'm just trying to point out places that's, you know, for the most part pretty hot. You know what I'm saying? Florida, shit like that. Do you have any idea what that shit? Oh my fucking God, man. They putting plastic manifolds and shit. I mean, plastic valve covers and shit. Plastic valve covers on cars. And it's all because of what he just said. He just told you it's cheaper to make a plastic part than it is to you know what I'm saying, use the metal that you normally would use to make that same part. It's a lot cheaper to do it that way. And the car is not going to last. It's not going to last, people. And we're talking about, you know, the stuff that's out now, the stuff that's coming down the pipe, you know, for 2028, 2029, 2030 and all. You know what I'm saying? These are throwaway cars, man. And what I mean is this is a car you ball up and throw in the fucking garbage. The minute that some bitch break down is over with, you should get out the fucking car and shoot it. Because it's over with. I'm dead serious. Push that motherfucker off a cliff. Because that's all it's good for.
Designing parts like this was a far riskier game. You didn't have that same software-based assurance that you do now. And we need to talk about repairability as well. We need to mention repairability in this because it's always been a key component to keeping these level 3 cars going.
And that's where it turns into a privilege. It's going to get to a point to where if you do be able to repair the car, it's going to cost a lot of money and it's going to keep breaking down. You understand? We're not talking about these cars now. I mean, we're not talking about the cars from, 10, 15 years ago, like my car or like some of the cars you guys may have that, still work and they work real good and shit. These cars that are coming down the pike now, 15 years from now, you're not going to be able to do the same thing that I'm doing with this 2010 Acura RL. And I'm telling you this because I work on my own shit. I don't take my fucking car to the shop. I just put a fucking, I put a control arm, a sway bar link, and two sway bar bushings in the rear. I did that. I got down on my hands and knees and changed that shit. I don't fucking take my car to a fucking mechanic. Are you insane? You see what I'm saying? So 15 years from now, these 2025s and shit that'll be out 15 years from now, there ain't gonna be none on the street because you ain't gonna be able to fix them. Or it's gonna cost so much motherfucking money to fix you either ain't gonna be able to afford it or it's gonna be more than what the car is worth. When your car break down and they give you a bill to fix it, and the amount that it costs to fix this car is worth more than what the car is appraised at, you have to make a decision on if you're going to get rid of that car. Now, do you keep it for sentimental reasons because it's the first car and your grandmother gave the car to you and she passed away or something like that? Well, maybe, situations like that, yeah, you can kind of understand. But anything outside of that type of a sentimental value, and even then some, you're going to get rid of the car. Period. And that's what they want. So the other thing that they're going to do too, the older the car get, they're going to make it to where when you go to renew your plates and your tags and all this other shit, it's going to cost you more money because your car is older. Okay? And I hope y'all watch this shit, man. I put it out. I try to tell people. I put this shit out. I don't know the percentage of people who view my videos of how many of you guys who got automobiles and shit, but I reckon it's at least 50% of you motherfuckers, man. So I'm talking to you guys. I'm telling you, man, wake up. And for the ones that are woke, keep waking up. For the ones that you see that's around you that's kind of slowly snapping out of it, stay on their ass, man. You're going to have to be your brother's keeper to help get yourself out of this. And you're going to have to isolate yourself from motherfuckers that you know that they just ain't going to be with it. Those are two things you're going to have to do. We're going to have to do. Especially when it comes down to the youth. We're going to have to be our brother's keeper. We're going to have to be. So I'm going to play a little bit more of this and I'm going to get up out of here.
An example, my little Jazz that I owned that got me back and forth to uni, I had to do a clutch on it and eventually I had to do a fuel pump as well. No big deal. I saved up, I got the non-genuine, cheaper parts and gathered a couple of buddies to help out with getting it fixed up. And we'd done it over a weekend and I paid them in pizza. That sort of driveway repair that lets you keep these old...
Yep, and that's what motherfuckers do, by the way. They really do that. They do that here.
Cars running on a shoestring, it just isn't going to be possible. It's not going to be possible because for one, most new cars that need a fuel pump or even a single injector, they need to be coded in by the manufacturer themselves. You need the manufacturer software, which ties you into using them, and you'll also need to use their expensive OEM parts or the car will just reject it. The rise of hybrid technology means that now even...
And I know that ain't a lie. Let me tell you, listen to me. Did you hear what he just said? He said even to change one injector in that motherfucker, it has to be coded into the ECU. That's the computer. And I know the motherfucker ain't lying. These BMWs and Mercedes, the shit that they've been on for the longest, like for example, give you a good example. When you know, you know. BMW required that you put Mobil 1 oil in your car. And certain weight and viscosity, etc., right? And if you don't put that type of oil in there, if you put anything other than that in there, the computer will know you put it in there. And it will shut the fucking car down. It will shut the fucking car down. We're talking for BMW, you BMW owners and shit, Mercedes-Benz owners and shit. Y'all probably already know what I'm talking about if y'all ever tried to go around the system. Because BMW and Mercedes, they've been doing shit like that with changing oil for God knows how long. I'm going to tell you one more time. You got a fucking BMW and you don't put the required oil, because one of the oils is Mobil 1. I know that for a fact. I'm not exactly sure what they're using now in these 2025 models and shit like that. But I know for a fact one of their oils was Mobil 1. I know that for a fact. If you do not put the fucking correct oil in there, the correct brand, the correct weight, the correct viscosity, if you do not put that shit in that engine, the computer will know it. Somehow, I don't fucking know how. Don't ask me how. Go ask the Germans. I don't know. Somehow that BMW will know you did not put that Mobil 1 oil in there, and it'll shut your shit down. I just told y'all in 2 seconds why a BMW oil change costs so much money. All right, now that was a nice cup of tea for you BMW and you German owners, Porsches and BMWs and Mercedes and shit. I just gave y'all ass some tea. That's why your fucking oil change costs so much money.
Small, simple city cars. Peugeot 208, for instance, now has a complex, dry, dual-clutch gearbox with a hybrid motor built into it. And I'll tell you right now, no one is replacing those clutch plates on their driveway, and no one is accepting pizza as payment for doing that either. In fact, I think you'll find when you encounter these problems, even the dealership is just going to try and replace that with a complete unit, a complete gearbox for some extortionate price. So this is where you tend to get people saying, well, why not just go electric then? If engines have become so unreliable, then these third-level buyers, they should turn to electric. There's a benefit of the massive depreciation that comes along with an electric vehicle. But not so fast on this train of thought, because we're forever being told, aren't we, that EVs are so simple, there's far less to go wrong. But it's just not the case. They're just differently complicated. You've got this 500 kilo battery underneath it, filled with thousands of cells, its own management system, its own cooling system, and meters of high voltage cabling. Doesn't sound very simple, does it? And somewhere, likely in its third level of ownership, that battery is going to require replacement. And when it does, there's a good likelihood that you'll be facing down a 5-figure bill to do it. And even...
And see, now, I'm going to end this with this. Even if you had the money to replace it, you got the money to buy a new battery, you got the money to pay, the technicians to put it in. And let's say you got the bread, right? You got the money, Once you appraise the car, I guarantee you any amount of money, any amount of motherfucking money that the goddamn price to replace that shit is going to be more than what the car is worth. And at that point, it makes no fucking sense to do it. And then what'll happen is you'll have to keep replacing those same units every so often. And it's going to just keep costing you more and more and more until they break you. All right? So I hope this helps, man. I'm going to get up out of here. This video is like 30 minutes, but I'm passionate about cars, and y'all should know that. Like I said, I just showed a couple of my little RC cars and shit on here, so y'all should know that. I'm passionate about cars. I'm passionate about racing, and they've turned me away from everything. They turned me away from motorsports and, NASCAR and Formula One. They turned me away from it because they're disgusting, man. They're disgusting. These are some nasty, evil, disgusting, perverted weirdos, man. And again, you can call them NPCs, you can call them, Anunnaki or whatever. I'm fine with that. As long as we talking about the same people. These motherfuckers are disgusting. They're fucking disgusting. And I'm going to end this on this note, man. I hope this helps you guys, man. I'm just trying to help. I know sometimes I can get fired up about stuff, but the shit is evil. I can feel it. I know that it's evil. I feel that energy around me. All right? So much love to everybody, and shout out to all of my new subscribers too, man. Much love and respect.